Hey, they're gonna try to make this quicker than last time. I've already done this once, and then my cat knocked over my webcam, and there was so much noise. I didn't want to like bust everybody's eardrums, so I'm doing this again. Of course, my cat's causing problems. So I will get to the point here. This is really mainly for my reference. You can pretty much take all this stuff with a grain of salt because I know me and Denise, we have been down this road many times, and I know that you're not really a believer in my mother's line being really of any significance, but I just wanted to make some notes of this just in case, if nothing else, so I can go back and look at this another time if it were to ever come up again. But so basically, this is kind of like the return of my mother's line, so to speak. And in our last email, and this is mainly to Denise, but I'm sending it obviously to both of you. And again, been a crazy year for all three of us so far, so just whenever we can watch these things. But so Denise, in your last email, you mentioned about Jonathan Rorix and him being a key because we have so many DNA matches tied to him, and again, so I looked at your Rorix tree, and I didn't realize, and this is a huge red flag to me because he has a wooden in his line. Um, and obviously my mother's maiden name and my mom's side of the family is Woodens, and they're all from these exact locations that most of our DNA matches come from, which is Missouri, Boone County, Missouri. Um, you know, trying to think of what some of the other counties are. Obviously, Jackson County, Missouri, but basically wherever Bosworth is and Bramer and all that. But anyway, so that's just where they've been like the last 70 plus years. Many of them were born and lived in Missouri their entire life. And I know that I've talked about that with you endlessly already. And so that's why I was suspicious of the location, if nothing else, right out the gate. I anticipated it to be a match on my mother's side. So um, I have researched Miss Mary Jane. She does appear to be a wooden, I believe, on your tree, Denise. You say wooden or woolery. It is a little bit hard to tell, but from what I can reference and the few people that do have any information out there, including Find a Grave, she does appear to be a wooden. Of course, even on the census, she puts that her mother was born in Missouri and her father is unknown. So it sounds like the father was largely uninvolved in her life. Um, so this is a different view of the McCluskey Ford tree. Um, Again, this is isn't really anything of significance, but she married a Fisher. I do on my own tree have a Fisher and wooden marriage, but I don't know of what significance that's going to be. I have not traced it back anyway. Whoops. Yeah, that's actually what I was looking for. So, for example, Leonard Fisher, or I should say Leonard Wooden, married Opal Fisher, uh, and so that's like I don't know if this is going to be the same Fisher line or not. I've not really done that yet, really. But so going back to my tree, okay, let me go to the census real quick. This is the only other thing that I found interesting. So, first of all, this is the 1870 Boone County census. The ages of them are just odd to me. They're listed as living there by themselves, ages 14 and 12. Later on in the censuses, they say that they were married. I forget how many years it said that, but you trace back the years, you do the math, and it's 1870. So 1870 is the year that they were supposedly married. But if you do the math, she's actually like 18, and so I don't know where they're coming up with these ages here. But regardless, it does appear to be them. And so the house, I don't know if they would walk to the houses in order, but you got to figure they're pretty close together. We've got a pace here, but if you go the next one up, that is actually Robert Nevins. That is the brother of your Nevins grandfather. And so I thought that that was, and again, Boone County, Missouri, that's where they were from. So your Robert Nevins lived, either next door or, very, very close to this James and Mary Wooden. Again, very interesting because of the connections there and the fact that there's a Wooden in the mix. Um, I mean, in looking at my tree, and again, I don't want to get into, because I know that we do have connections to like Corey Rupp, and we've got connections to Diane and things of that nature. Now, and even I think we don't have a whole lot of like Steve Pearson connections of Winston, but we do have some people on the Pearson side, and so I know that there's something else there. But again, I've always had it in my head from the beginning that there's a connection on both sides of my family that kind of is masking or making our, and again, this isn't scientifically based, obviously, but like in my head, I've just got it pictured like that's what makes us have more chromosomes in common than we would normally because of this dual or, even more connection. And this one would be one of those potential connections, basically. And I do actually have a Wooden in your tree as being like a fifth or sixth or seventh grandmother, but I couldn't really get any information on her, so I'm dismissing that. But aside from that, I mean, these are a lot of the names anyway, and there are a lot of surnames that we've researched over the years. White and practically every other color we've researched. That's come up a lot. Now, Indians, we've had to talk about the Indian relationship and the Choctaw and all that. That has come up from time to time. The Lightfoots are definitely the only Indian link that I have. And again, I'm just going over this just because I'm talking about it in this video. So we've got a Harvey line from Missouri. I know the Harveys, we've talked about it kind of off and on. My Morris side is a little bit more mysterious because I don't really know much about them. Of course, there would have to be a Jewel line because I also have a Jewel line in my Holiday Justice line as well. I mean, you mentioned the Adams surname just in your last email, saying that could be significant. Which again, that's a common name. But I mean, a lot of the names that we have been going after, granted, a lot of them are pretty common names, are on my mother's side. And so, Rogers has been a McCluskey Ford, we have several Rogers connections and obviously White, but I don't see any Deans or anything like that. I mean, that's kind of a loose end. On either side, I don't really see that. But in a lot of our connections, it does appear to me to be a possible like Mills connection of some sort. But again, I don't really know. But I just wanted to mention this because the fact that there is a Wooden in the mix that from Boone County, Missouri, living next to relatives of Denise's is just worth doing a quick video and documenting. But that is all I've got. That's all I wanted to say.